Well, we are back on the Unapologetic podcast. I'm Brandt Merritt.
I'm Jonathon Woodyard.
We are joined today by our provost, Dr. Tracy Manly. Good morning, Dr. Manly. Welcome. Welcome to the hot seat. I know that this is, we've
usually when people sit with you, they're on the hot seat.
They're on the
right.
hot seat.
Yeah.
So turning this around.
And we'll do a golf icebreaker in a minute, but part of the other fun thing is you have a connection at SBU with your brother who is here, who has been in the hot seat. So now you can actually compare to Clark Sheehy, our athletic director, to say, hey, I've been on the podcast too. And he's had all the glory.
He did a great job.
You invited him first?
We did.
Oh,
yes.
Well, Brandt did. I didn't.
Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah, he was great though. We love sitting with Clark, and he's just so energetic, and he's got that. When he talks, he's got that coach in him, and he's
ready to go out and
he's ready
conquer the other team.
Yeah, that's right.
I was talking to him.
It was fun.
But yeah, we were going to do a little fun icebreaker on golf. Now you have a golf family.
Yes.
In your house. I love golf. You've played golf.
I've played golf. Yes. Okay, that's a nice way to put it. I mean, I can hit the ball.
You don't like to watch golf,
way.
Though. And no. The reason we would talk about watching golf is the Ryder Cup is this weekend, which we were just mentioning is a huge, for those who follow golf, yes. Tracy and I, it's a big deal. You probably like it just because America's involved.
I wasn't sure what it was until you mentioned the Europeans bringing stuff over. And, this is the tournament where the world plays
That's right.
America, I guess.
This is Europe versus America. There's a whole other one called the President's Cup where it's everyone but Europe versus America.
I enjoy golf with Brandt and those guys, and I've played with Clark, and I'd like riding the golf cart around.
Mm-hmm. That's why you like golf.
There
are some good aspects to it, including the cart.
Yeah, right.
And the clothes.
There's that. Yeah, I enjoy it. Like I can wear this to play golf. I could really go from work. But then there's when you play. What's the thing called when we play in best ball?
Scramble.
Yeah, scramble. That's great because I can just hit as hard as I want, and it doesn't really matter where it goes because you're going to hit it on the fairway or Clark is. I'm good. That's fun. I don't have to look for my ball.
Now, did you get pulled into golf?
I did. Okay. I am not a golfer. My husband was a college golfer. Both of our kids played in high school. Our son still plays. He's a college golfer. Mm. And so by default, if I want to see my family, then I learn to love the golf course. It's a great sport to spectate. Love to be outside. Like to walk with them and watch them. Love to watch it this weekend. Even if you're not a golf fan, you can be patriotic. So it's a good time.
Root for Merritt.
Commingle. That's right. Patriotism and your sport. And this is an unusual tournament because the crowds are pretty raucous and fun.
Yes.
So good for basketball
How
fans.
long does this last?
Will feel like
so it's a 3-day.
Like Kentucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
They go Friday through Sunday. So Sunday is the big finale. It's head-to-head.
Okay.
Match play. The first 2 days are more twosomes, groups playing, two guys playing against two other guys.
Sure. Sounds fascinating.
And I totally messed up a chance to go to the Ryder Cup 4 years ago, maybe 6 years, when it was at Whistling Straits. Mm-hmm. I had friends who had a ticket. They had an extra ticket.
Where's that?
And, it was the one in Wisconsin. I think that's Whistling Straits is in Wisconsin. And I decided I had something else to do.
You said your husband played college golf too? Where'd he play
at Samford University?
Yeah, in Alabama. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that part. I knew your son was a golfer. I didn't know your husband was a golfer. Yeah. So anyway, golf,
Ryder Cup,
great,
big weekend.
Ryder Cup. It is a big weekend. I knew that the Ryder Cup was on because somebody had told me. But there's also a whole lot of college football on. Some big games this weekend. I don't know where my channel will land.
Big NFL game this weekend. Tampa Bay versus Philadelphia. Battle of
I don't care. I'm not a real big fan of either of those.
So last weekend for me, I was joking with you on this one, was a perfect weekend. So we had Bolivar High School, one on Friday night, SBU, one on Saturday against William Jewell.
Yeah, they did.
Mizzou had a big win against South Carolina for me, and then the Buccaneers won on Sunday.
Yeah, like last second.
Win. Yeah, and so 4-0.
There we go
for me.
Oh, good for you.
You may not be able to watch this weekend. You're not going to be able to top that.
I know. Yeah.
You're just going to have to ride out. I ended my football season in September.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
But another big game for the SBU Bearcats on Saturday. Home game.
Night game. So we're really excited about that. It is I'm going to get this right. Community, like Bolivar Community Night. So if you're a first responder, teacher, worker, or employee of the city, you bring your ID, you get in for free. So looking forward to that. It should be fun.
Yeah, against S&T.
We've had some really good crowds at our football games, which has been really encouraging to see. Yeah. So
it's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of energy, I have a good segue. You have brought and put a lot of energy into the last few years revamping, sort of relooking at our whole academic portfolio, our curriculum, our 4-year plans, and not just you. I mean, it's the entire faculty getting their hands dirty and doing some really heavy lifting to work on things. So before we get into some of that work that's been done, what's your path to SBU? Not only do you have a sibling here, Clark, working, but you guys actually have a long family history.
Right. Our parents met here at SBU. So both our mom and dad started here in the 60s and came when this was a junior college. And our parents are the first bachelor's in the group of the first bachelor's degrees awarded. So they got to be the oldest class on campus as sophomores, and then they were the first junior class and the first senior class here at SBU.
Oh, very cool. And so that SBU's always had a special place in your family. And so when the opportunity came here, was it just something that naturally you felt drawn to and had thought about something like this?
It was a nice transition point in my career. I had been mostly in the classroom and had started doing some administrative work. And so it was a good opportunity to think about doing administrative work and being part of a university culture that promoted, right, obviously excellent education, but also an environment to help students grow in their faith and grow as individuals as well.
That's great. So a lot of that work of growing, shaping happens in the classroom. I mean, in our student life area and just living on campus, there's a whole lot of spiritual formation, discipleship that happens, but the faculty-student relationship is critical, and that and what happens in the classroom is critical too. So how has, what is that culture like within faculty? I mean, how do faculty talk about that and plan for that and really prioritize that maybe differently than places you've been that weren't a Christian school?
Sure. I mean, faculty members at SBU are really exceptional in this regard. I would say they consider their work here pretty much to the person. It's their employment and it's their profession, but it's also their calling. They really want to pour into the lives of young people. And previously, I would always say that faculty members really had two equal loves, right? Students and their discipline. And here, I think at SBU, it's almost 3 equal loves of students and their discipline, and also watching students grow and mature. And so they are invested, right? They care deeply about their discipline. That's what they want to share, and they want to encourage and create enthusiasm in young people for their topic area, whether it's physics or education or nursing, marketing, all of those things. The people that work in those areas, they have invested a lot. They've learned a lot. They've worked in those areas. They're passionate about that, but they're equally passionate about helping students learn and then also watching them grow. And faculty members at SBU do a lot of investment inside the classroom and outside the classroom to kind of make sure they're supporting all of those equal tensions between their discipline and students growth.
It's amazing. You get to see all of this firsthand because your job is to oversee one of your jobs, right? You have many hats, but to oversee the faculty. And I'm just going to ask this at the front end. We said at the beginning, you're the provost. And a lot of people have asked me, what does that mean? Like, what is a provost? So just in terms of all the stuff you're talking about with faculty as we get into this, what is a provost at a university?
So I usually explain it to young people. If you think of the president is running the whole university, then he has people on his team that work with alumni and fundraising, athletics, marketing, admissions, student life, and I'm the person on his team that oversees academics. So my first team that I work with are the deans and our assistant provost and that leadership team, and then really all of the faculty past that.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that's not unique to SBU in the sense of Christian schools, but the way we do it is probably unique, and it's intentionally putting in the curriculum faith-based courses, biblical courses that are required as part of graduation. So could you talk about those 3 courses first, and then we'll build out into the full gen ed curriculum that you've spent a lot of time with on the Discover Core?
Sure. So that has been a long-standing academic requirement at SBU. I can't even date that for you.
Yeah.
But as part of our core curriculum, we have an acronym that represents all of the pieces of the core curriculum, which as we talk to students, we tell them students come here and they really do two programs. One is the program that all SBU students do together, and that's our Discover core curriculum, and then they pick their major. Inside of that, the V in Discover is for values, and that's one, helping students discover their own values, but that's also where our students take courses in Old Testament history, New Testament history, and then we have a unique class that's just targeted toward their spiritual formation. And so students, right, some students come to us and they've had years of being practicing faith, having that be a priority in their families, but that's not true for all students. And so for some of them, this is a first exposure to those topics. And that's another really great thing about the faculty here at SBU. They know that, and they really treat that as a privilege to be able to encounter those students and give them that first kind of educational exposure to Old Testament, New Testament, and then what it means for them to grow as Christians. Included in that, we also have, there's an aspect of our core curriculum that's common to all schools where we make sure that students have an opportunity to be exposed to cultural awareness. And as part of that, we include a course related to service projects, which ties not only to our core curriculum, but our mission.
Yeah.
And students go on mission from SBU all around the world, but we really wanted to make that even more accessible to students with busy schedules that might be local. And so this fall, we offered a class in the Discover core curriculum where they learn about different cultures and are doing some service projects here locally. And so students that might be have jobs, be participating on a team, or are just not in a position to take a mission trip abroad. And we don't have a lot of freshmen that always do that either. So this is a great experience to freshmen their first semester on campus to be thinking about, what are you learning about cultural awareness? How can we get you plugged in and see the joy that can come from service as well?
Yeah. I mean, it connects with our mission statement, right? We're trying to prepare what we call servant leaders ready for a global society. So it's amazing. That course connects to the overall mission of the university. Thankful to see it. I had the opportunity last semester, I think it was last semester, to teach the Introduction to Spiritual Formation, Introduction to Christianity course, and to be in the room and to interact with students. Like, I've never read my Bible. I've never really picked up a Bible. One student coming up to me after the first day of class said, "Hey, I don't really own a Bible." And to be able to give them one, and then to introduce concepts, introduce Jesus, introduce what is this thing, Christianity, we keep talking about. It was a special moment, or a special semester to be able to sit with students and talk about those things. So I'm thrilled that we're doing it, and every student goes through those courses.
Yeah. And so it is part of a bigger, like you said, acronym to Discover is what we've built this core curriculum around, which SBU for years is one of the things that I kind of inherited, and I've continued to follow it, that we've promoted from the admissions side is there's a group called the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, and they actually go through and evaluate gen ed curriculums across the country. And we've been one of, it fluctuates between like 19 and 21 schools that get their highest rating. It's an A rating. And so they're basically just looking, are you covering a wide range of disciplines, requiring your students to take it? And typically it's called liberal arts. We like calling it holistic, learning. We're really trying to teach a whole person. But we've historically been recognized for that. And I think that's been, kept strong within the Discover core. And that's the goal, is to kind of expose students to a wide range. So as you went through with the faculty and sort of relooked at what the core curriculum could be, what were some of the priorities you had within it, and how did you land on Discover being the way to frame it?
Well, to be fair, the faculty at SBU had started this several years, even before we got here. I think it's part of the continuous improvement loop, and especially we consider this program to be really important because it is the one that all students take part in. And so wanting to make sure that students have a breadth of exposure to topics and some introductory learning, which we know helps them be more flexible in their thinking. As you start to learn certain things in science, some of that scientific method and that approach to problem solving may all of a sudden translate into a management class or into something that you'll be reminded about even further in your curriculum and then in your job. Certainly we see that with literature and other parts of a liberal arts curriculum. So, wanted to stay to kind of a traditional inclusion of things in a liberal arts curriculum. We have exposure to sciences, social science, behavioral classes, fine arts as well. Yeah. That's part of it. All of our values curriculum, including here the Christian, Old Testament, New Testament history, as well as the cultural awareness. There's math and critical thinking in there. So really wanting students to have a broad-based understanding of how to approach the world as a creative thinker and a critical thinker and a problem solver, and coming at that from all kinds of disciplines and viewpoints from different areas to kind of help them frame how they look at their own major and then to frame how they look at world problems after they leave here.
Yeah. And I think the other big key with the new format is there's more choice. You've talked about that a lot in our visit events. There are some things that everyone has to take, but there's also a lot of freedom for students to kind of look through a menu of different courses and say, for values or for all the different areas, I actually would rather take this course over that course. And how did that process come together of, okay, how can we give more students more choice and the kinds of things that they take?
I think it was really a recognition by the faculty as a whole, and especially the group that worked on this curriculum, and Scotty Moats helped lead that group and pulling in a lot of research. As you know, a lot of schools in our state participate in a Common Core curriculum called Core 42. And so wanting to make sure that SBU students were getting all of the benefits of that plus other things, and that a student coming to SBU, we can be very transparent with them about this core curriculum doesn't leave anything out as far as areas of study, but then also emphasizes things that we think are important at SBU. And so it was a lot of that faculty then stepping back and saying, these areas may have meant something 20 and 30 years ago. How do we look at them with fresh eyes? So if you start just at the beginning with the D in Discover, which is discipline, that represents holistic wellness and helping students think about their own personal wellness. And this was traditional in a lot of schools when I was a student, and probably when you were students, you took some kind of physical fitness class. I remember we had to run a mile the first week, and one of the seniors whispered in my ear and said, make sure you walk really slowly, because you can't get an A if you're not faster at the end of the semester. And so I was really glad for that, because I certainly didn't want to run as hard as I could on the first day. And so, we, SBU had courses along that nature, but it was really the faculty looking at and saying, in today's era and with the struggles students are facing, holistic wellness is physical wellness, and it's also mental health and mental wellness. And so general psychology is also part of the courses in that category under the discipline aspect of thinking about developing a well-rounded student, a well-rounded thinker, right? There's physical fitness classes in there that can be chosen, but then also broadening that to think about, well, how does mental health also fit? And I would just say, I think category by category, it was saying we want to make sure that we're true to what this area of a liberal arts curriculum would mean, and that our students are getting everything they would be receiving as far as learning outcomes and exposure at another Missouri school, and then also making sure that it identified with what makes SBU unique.
And there's, even on my end, there's practical implications for having a core curriculum structured like that, because we do get transfer students all the time that are bringing credits from other schools, or they even freshmen have dual credit that they're bringing in. And so having a core curriculum that you can, plug and play is not the right way to frame it, but kind of, maybe they took a class that doesn't fit the exact title of our core curriculum, but we've got some flexibility built in there that, okay, those credits are going to count, and the credits that they take here are going to count because you guys have been intentional and thoughtful and considering all that for students to be able to succeed.
Absolutely. I think that's another aspect of what it means to be a university leader and a college student in 2025 that was different than when I went to college. But students and families have a lot of options to start earning college credits before we ever see them.
Yeah.
And those students, they have to be prepared to do that. They put in work to do that. Families, in many cases, put financial resources behind that. Yep. And so as much as possible, right, we designed this knowing those are the kinds of students that are coming to SBU in 2025. And so how can we, again, make sure they've been exposed to the types of creative and critical thinking, that they're meeting those areas of discipline and the learning outcomes. But if you have demonstrated that you did that in a college algebra course, then that can transfer over and can fit in our reasoning area for Discover. That's the R in reasoning. That's a lot of our more quantitative and mathematical and critical thinking aspects of a holistic education. So I think really the work that they did, and it took several years, and Scotty and I both came in after that work had already been started. And so I think just saying, we want to make sure we keep what's important and has been historically what has been so valuable about a liberal arts core curriculum, and also make sure it meets the needs of modern students.
Yeah, for sure. That we were in a retention meeting this past week that I think it might have been Scotty or you made a good comment about the number of students we have who maybe have been to 2, 3, maybe 4 other colleges and don't have a credential, like they've not earned a degree. Places, they've kind of jumped around and transferred. And so again, I think back to the way the curriculum and the programs have been structured, we're able to make sure that they can finish here with a degree, which is a great thing. One other thing I was going to just ask about real quick, because another thing that's been done in academics is you guys have done some innovative type of things, from starting new programs to, in particular, the 4+1s. I was thinking about, that's a big value that we try to sell to students is, hey, you can come here and actually graduate with a master's degree in 5 years instead of having to do 4 undergraduate and then 2 graduate years. So on the 4+1s in particular, how much work has been put into that, and what's a benefit of a student being able to start those classes early?
Right. Well, several of our graduate program leaders have really accepted this as a challenge and a great opportunity for students as well as for the university. We love an opportunity to get to see a student through their undergraduate education and then also see them really reinforce their area of interest with a graduate degree. Levi Bridge in our business area had also been working on these types of arrangements long before I got here, but we've been able to kind of add some structure and with the help of the marketing team kind of make sure that students know what's possible. And I think for families that might have students that are not yet college ready, the easiest way to think about a 4+1 grad program is it's almost analogous to dual credit or doing some college work when you're still in high school. So what our students are allowed to do is when they are about juniors or at least upperclassmen, if they know they're interested in a graduate program, they can say, I'm interested in actually completing a graduate degree as well as a bachelor's degree. And when they go through an application process and they have to meet, of course, certain standards to be part of that degree, then they get to kind of elevate their academic work and start taking some graduate level courses as undergrads. If that content and the learning outcomes are similar, then it actually can also fulfill a requirement as part of their bachelor's degree. And so what that allows the student to do is to complete that program in less total credits and less time than it would be if you had completed a bachelor's, maybe worked for a few years, and then came back and did a master's. And so they kind of get to overlap that while they're here. And our faculty members do a really good job making sure those students, that they're prepared for that and that they know what the expectations are and letting them start that deeper, more intense level work with research projects and thinking more intensely about writing and more advanced learning concepts in those graduate degrees. talked about it in terms of business. Many of our Masters of Education programs have these options as well. And then we're very excited. We have several new master's degrees in technology-related fields. We started those last year, but those also have options for undergrads that are interested in computer science or software design. And artificial intelligence, where they can start a bachelor's degree at SBU, and as part of that, go ahead and get started on a master's degree and then finish the master's degree in 1 year after that.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit, and not just time saver, but cost saver. I mean, really saving some dollars, especially for a teacher. My wife was a teacher. I mean, getting a master's degree with built-in guaranteed pay increases and saving the time that it takes to get that and the expense with it, huge benefit.
So we also have online programs, and I know that's growing. We've created more course content. Can you talk a little bit about the changes since you've been here? We brought on Ron Miller's our Vice President of Online Learning. So just some of the things there that people may not be aware of.
So almost all of the graduate education programs are now exclusively online. A lot of that content had already been online with some types of physical presence and a little bit of a hybrid model, but now those programs have been, I would say, one really great thing about SBU's online courses is the design of those is very standard. So when students enter, they very quickly know what their requirements are and what's expected of them. So when you log into the system, things have a really similar and clean feel because online students, they don't have that benefit of being able to just raise their hands and say, I don't know where to click. And so we try to lay down those barriers early so that how do you navigate this, and that the content of the course should be harder than figuring out what to do in the course. And so SBU, Ron has led a lot of really great efforts with Hope Gallimore in making sure those classes are very student friendly and accessible. And so a lot of our graduate work, those students may be working, they may have other commitments, and so online learning fits their lifestyle very well. Another big I would say group of students are some of our nurses that have already completed their associate's degree and their RNs. They're practicing, they're already working with patients, but some of their career opportunities become more open if they complete a bachelor's degree. And so here at SBU, if you're a nurse currently and you could be working, you can actually complete your bachelor's degree online. And then SBU also offers a master's degree after that as well.
And we've even, I think, been able to leverage the flexibility and the quality of those courses to help students even bridge some periods, like the RN to BSN. We have some of our health sciences courses that help those students who've done an ASN degree take some classes in the fall so that they're making progress before a seat in a specific program is available that requires some prerequisites or has a certain, like a limited number of seats. And so having these courses built the way they are in a flexible way to be delivered every 8 weeks gives us and our students a lot of opportunity to continue making progress instead of having to stop and wait. Oh, okay, I can't start this program yet for some reason.
That's a great thing about online learning and the way that those programs have been designed really for learners that are not necessarily taking a block of time out of their life just to focus on education. So one is the flexibility of when they do their coursework, and data shows us that a lot of online learners do most of their work between 8 and 10:30 p.m. And that makes a lot of sense to us, right? Maybe you are working traditional hours, you may have dinner, family, those kinds of things, and then they sit down to do their work. So you have a lot of admiration for the dedication and commitment for someone to do that. Another really great thing that makes these accessible for people that have really a lot of other commitments is that classes can start every 8 weeks. And a lot of these programs you can enter every 8 weeks. So it's not am I going to start my master's degree in August of 2025? And if you miss that, then I'll wait until August of 2026. We will have students that will come on board in October and then again in January and March. And so it's very flexible as far as if this is a good moment where this is a season in your life where you could go ahead and get that coursework, you can take these 8 weeks. We have students that will go 8 weeks, stop out 8 weeks, come back in. And obviously that lengthens their program a little bit, but all those options are there.
That's great, for sure. Well, thank you, Tracy, for all the work you've done with the faculty and the deans and just the leadership in the academic area. I think so much of that has made SBU more competitive, more attractive in the ways that we deliver programs, and all rooted in the foundation of a biblical worldview. So that's great.
And I will mention before we close here how thankful we are that you've kind of stepped in as this interim CFO. I don't know if the title is right, but interim CFO overseeing the budget and trying to keep us all straight when it comes, or green, keep us all green when it comes to the budget. Yes. And we know that that's been a massive lift, and we're thankful.
Well, you hinted that you were in the classroom, but you were in the classroom as an
accounting professor. So that set me up to.
They did not make me the interim CFO. So that's right. Numbers, I know it's in the Bible, but that's about it.
I think we're all thankful for accountants to know that they're there when we need them.
Well, absolutely. And appreciate the chance to get to visit with both of you and your efforts to make sure that other people know about the great things going on here at SBU.
Yeah, it's a
joy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I think we might be trying to do an episode next with one of your family members.
Yeah, my brother's going to be here next week. So we've got Matt Kimbrough is in chapel on Monday. So if you're listening and want to come hear one of our professors in the Redford School, you can come hear Dr. Matt Kimbrough on Monday. But then my brother pastors a church in Indianapolis. He'll be here Tuesday. We'll do an event with him, maybe do an episode with him, and then he'll be in chapel on Wednesday. So looking forward to next week. Should be fun.
Yeah, great. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.